This was January 2007, I think. 39 points after 20 games. And our calculations were that the next 18 games meant that we would probably only need 26, 28 points to qualify for the Champions League. We'd gone through the whole of December and won all 5 games in a very short period of time, and we'd picked up some injuries and had some very fatigued players because we were playing virtually the same 11 every game. And the legacy of that was a few injuries that we'd picked up, and we had the January window to increase the playing staff by 2 players, and we'd been doing the work for the best part of 2 months or more prior to that. We're already safe in the Premier League.
It's done.
It's done and dusted. So next year's money is already safe. And I could read accounts because my accountant taught me how to read accounts. So I knew that we could afford this if we wanted to by taking next year's budget forward. So I wasn't asking them to particularly take any more or put any more of their own money in, even though that they could, particularly the owner. And targeted these 3 players and virtually got it done. And it would have been about, probably at that time, between about £6 and £8 million. So if it didn't work, we'd need 3 less players next season anyway, because we're buying them now. So I had all this logic in my mind that it wasn't going to be a problem, because we're riding high, we're qualifying for Europe for the second time at least, and we can go on to the Champions League because there's only 18 games left and we only need 20 plus points to get there. So I put these players forward, and there was a frown on the face, a little bit of a frown, and I thought, well, is there no free transfers? Is there no loan players you can get? And I went, this is Bolton Wanderers now. This is not Bolton Wanderers in 2001, 2002, 2003. This is Bolton Wanderers in 2007.
Premier League club.
Premier League that hasn't finished below 8th in the last 4 seasons. That wants to go to the Champions League. And then I need to speak to the owner, Ed Davis, and maybe a week later, after a lot of pushing and shoving, I got that we don't want to go to the Champions League. And there's no money to buy any players, and that was the end of it. That was me finished in the club that I love so much, and I'd spent so much of my life as a footballer and a manager. I went home and said to Lynn, it's all over. And she went, what do you mean it's all over? I said, that's me finished. So what do you mean finished? I said, I'm out of here. Can't stay anymore. What do you mean you can't stay? You love the club. I said, I know the club, but they just told me they don't want to go to the Champions League. How can I stay? How can I realise my ambitions if the club isn't as ambitious as me, or doesn't show any ambition? How can I stay? The club will only fail like it's failed in the past. So it's time for me to get out at the top. So I wrote my resignation, gave it to Phil Gartside, who had the biggest shock of his life because they thought I was going to stay forever. And
you had a 10-year contract at one point, didn't you?
A 10-year contract, yeah, but it didn't have a 10-year payoff in it.
A 1 year.
Yeah, a 1 year payoff in it. Don't worry about that. But I was happy to have the 10-year contract because I could grow and build a football club. But I mean, to turn around to somebody and just show a lack of ambition when you made the club so stable, so financially stable, and enjoying ourselves so much, and them enjoying themselves so much was such a great shock to me at the time. I'm not so sure I've even got over it even yet, but the big decision was, my life's going to be somewhere else now, and that was in between being second best for the England job, just missing out to Steve McLaren the year before. But that was it. So we kept it quiet. We did an agreement at the time that we would keep it quiet and do it at the end of the season. And as usual, things like that don't stay. Well, it stayed quiet for a lot longer than I thought it would.
Until the final
2 games. 2 games, yeah. And we said that if it came out in the press then we'd announce it there and then, and that was it basically. 2-2 against Jose's team at Chelsea. Fifth in the league still. We only signed little Dave Thompson on loan from Portsmouth, who had a dodgy knee. So but we were far too many points off at that time. And even if we won the last two games, we still wouldn't get in 4 spots. So we were never going to get in the Champions League.